affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Amp2.tv presents You and Your Doctor, teaching you to live a longer and healthier life. Proudly sponsored by All County Healthcare, where people are the heart of our business. All County Healthcare is a Medicare certified agency where one call will service all your home care health needs. For more information, call 954-717-7027 or visit our website, allcountyhealthcare.com. Now, let's get informed to living a longer and healthier life. Here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back to another episode of You and Your Doctor, sponsored by All County Healthcare. We can be reached at 954-717-7027. We're a Medicare certified home healthcare agency in Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade, and I'm your host, Louise Gomez. Welcome to the show. And our special guest today is Dr. Michelle Thompson, and she is at Epoche Medical. The phone number is 954-210-7729, and you can reach her at her website is www.epochemedical.org, and her email is admin@epoche, E-P-O-C-H-E, medical.org. Welcome to the show, Dr. Thompson. How are you?
How are you? Having me.
Thank you for joining us. We know that doctors have such a busy schedule, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to share with us a little bit more about yourself and your background. So, Dr. Thompson, can you share with us, our listeners and our viewers, just a little bit more about your experience, your education, training, and background?
Sure, absolutely. Again, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Of course.
It's great to be able to spread the word about health and wellness. I'm from New York, so I went to school at Mount Sinai in New York City, and I trained in internal medicine and geriatrics at Montefiore Medical Center. After I completed my fellowship, I went on to get advanced certification in hospice and palliative care. I essentially practiced geriatrics for about 10 years in New York before being recruited by Holy Cross in Fort Lauderdale to start up their palliative medicine program. And after spending 6 years with them, building a successful hospital-based palliative care program, I went on to work with Vitas Hospice as one of their associate medical directors. And in 2019, 2020, I launched my functional medicine practice, which is what I'm currently doing. And instead of supporting patients throughout their suffering and end-of-life issues, I help patients optimize their health and wellness and live a life of vitality and longevity.
You know, that's so interesting because you went from one spectrum from treating them during the end of times, and now you went to a different spectrum. What was did you have an epiphany? Did you have any type of, just any type of idea that made you want to change to a more functional type of practice?
Well, it happened over time. It was a journey for me. Working with geriatric patients, unfortunately, we dealt with a lot of suffering on multiple dimensions, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual. And then at end of life, that's when there's a lot of crisis. And with time, in being in practice for over 20 years, I started to observe things that I didn't used to see 20 years ago. So autoimmune diseases in the geriatric population have become more common. Cancers that are more aggressive are definitely more common. Or is cognitive impairments, cardiovascular disease. There are a lot of things that I didn't used to see 20 years ago. They just weren't that common in the geriatric population, or they weren't as aggressive. And then working in palliative care, it just broke my heart, feeling like there's got to be something more that we can do besides symptom management. We're not helping to cure people. We're just helping to prevent disease progression as much as we can. And actually, it was a nurse at Holy Cross that introduced me to functional medicine. And once I took the courses and I realized it was scientifically evidence-based, that it was a great fit to help patients improve their lives. In addition to that, I had my own journey with breast cancer,
Oh, sorry to hear that.
which was oh no, it was a real eye opener,
It
and
was, huh?
it sure was, and it's not a bad thing for a physician to be on the other side of healthcare to see what the experience is
Wow.
like, and to go through that journey. But I perceive my journey as an experience that was supposed to teach me how to better relate and how to better care for patients. So I'm grateful for the experience. Not at all a downer about it.
I love when somebody can take an experience, all events are neutral, but we make up stories. But I love when someone can take an experience and now you can alchemize it into
Hmm.
something so helpful and so beneficial because now, like you said, you're on the other end of the spectrum experiencing it. So now you get to learn from a patient's point of view, and then I guess that was part of your journey for wanting to go into more of a functional type of approach.
Absolutely. I had to dive into necessary lifestyle changes for myself, starting with eating real food,
Yep.
um, exercising, mindfulness practices, making sure I got enough sleep. Prayer was uh, rooted in just not getting any sleep. You're not allowed to get sleep.
Right.
We worked 7 days a week. I remember days when I got 1 to 2 hours of sleep.
Oof.
At night
Wow.
if I were lucky, and the pager would go on even when you did get sleep. So that certainly didn't help to keep me healthy. So it definitely contributed to me developing cancer as a stressor. And when they say stress kills, it definitely does because
Yeah.
there's a physiologic reaction.
Yeah.
And now with functional medicine, they understand that.
Wow. So, Dr.
Mhm.
Thompson, what can you share with us a little bit more about the patients that you treat today? What is the age range since now you're doing functional? What is the age range of your patients?
It's predominantly middle-aged women. I do
Okay.
have quite a few geriatric and Medicare patients, but it's predominantly women. The men that I do see tend to be health and wellness focused. Some of the common symptoms include fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
concerns with gut health, hormonal imbalance,
Right.
heavy menstrual bleeding, or postmenopausal symptoms. Hashimoto's is very common, or
Yeah.
Crohn's disease, autoimmune conditions. Um, I see quite a few mold patients or people with symptoms that are dismissed in the conventional industry because
Yes.
they can't figure out what's going on.
Right.
But we dive deep until we find out exactly what's triggering their symptoms, and then we get to work on healing the body.
What I love about functional medical practitioners is that you really want to get to the root of the problem.
Mhm.
And when you do your blood labs, when you do all your hormonal tests, when you do everything, it's kind of like you're a detective, right? You're
Yes.
figuring out, what could it be? This is what I've heard from doctors that they feel like they're detectives sometimes just figuring out what is the root cause of the problem. And I think it's important that people realize the distinction between functional medical practitioners and MDs. Functional medical practitioners get to the root cause of the problem. Whereas traditional Western medicine, what do? They give a band-aid out and get rid of the symptoms, right?
So what makes it so more rewarding for me is I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to have a patient come to me with a set of symptoms,
Right.
and how my brain worked back then, or how we're trained, is to use those symptoms to come up with a diagnosis. Because once you have a
Mm,
diagnosis, you generate a treatment plan. My thought process is now is to take those symptoms to see the connectivity between the heart, the immune
wow. Right.
system, gut, the brain, and to see what's the common thread for all those things. So that's the root, and that's where we target, so that we're able to heal the body upstream.
It's fascinating to me also, Dr. Thompson. They've done so many studies in the past maybe 20 years on the gut brain axis. and how they communicate. Can you share with us, what a little bit more about maybe some cases that you might have had with treatments for some people where they've had success because of,
Mhm.
you're recognizing this gut brain axis in your treatments?
Definitely. So the gut microbiome is, first of all, or your gut health is your primary
Mm-hmm.
source of your immune system.
Right.
And in terms of your brain, the gut bacteria produces serotonin, which is your feel good hormone.
Right.
I've had patients who have had gut issues, and when we treat it, their anxiety goes away, their depression goes away, they have improved mental clarity, their memory improves, their concentration improves, less moodiness,
Right.
all from healing the gut and reestablishing that gut flora and reducing any gut inflammation. So
Yeah.
one of the easiest, more relatable experiences is when somebody has to do something and they get very anxious, and then they get the GI upset,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's they get a little nauseous or they have to run to the restroom. That's the gut brain connection. That's an
Wow.
example. I'm sorry, of the gut
Right.
brain connection.
Right. That's fascinating to me. So, Dr. Thompson, what makes your practice unique? I think I read that you do telehealth visits. Is that right? Can you share with us?
Yes, I do in person. I do in-person telehealth visits. I
Okay.
get requests primarily for telehealth visits. And what's unique about it, I think, is my background in as a physician in
Yes.
geriatrics and hospice and palliative medicine. I've dealt with end of life issues. I've had a chronic, I'm sorry, a serious illness myself. So I
Mm.
can definitely
Yeah.
identify and relate. I also am trained as a executive performance health coach, so I'm able to help coach my patients through the lifestyle changes that are necessary for them to have long-term sustainable improvements in their overall well-being.
Wow, that's amazing. So, we're going to take a quick commercial break, Dr. Thompson. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about your unique practice that you have. And we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Thank you.
I'll be
Okay.
All County Healthcare has exciting news for any and all patients with COPD or other respiratory ailments. Listen to what renowned pulmonologist Dr. Keith Robinson has to say.
Hello, I'm Dr. Keith Robinson, board-certified pulmonologist, medical director at Fusion Health Pulmonary Rehabilitation, and a board member with the American Lung Association of South Florida. We have exciting news for patients with COPD. We now offer IPV therapy at home, which has been demonstrated to improve airway clearance, decrease hospitalization, and improve quality of life of patients with COPD. Please call All County Healthcare for more information about this FDA-approved therapy.
For further information, call All County Healthcare now at 954-717-7027. That is 954-717-7027. Or visit our website at allcountyhealthcare.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, All County Healthcare always puts the patient's needs first. You are listening to You and Your Doctor, Living Longer and Healthier, an informative show that helps you find answers to questions you always wanted to ask but did not have that somebody that could make a difference in your life. Call into the show if you have a question at 888-565-1470, and we will put you on the air to inform all our listeners. Now, back to our show.
The show is brought to you by All County Healthcare. Our number is 954-717-7027. We're a Medicare certified home healthcare agency servicing Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade. Thanks for coming back, Dr. Thompson. And
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and Dr. Thompson's, she can be reached at 954-210-7720. The website is www.epicmedical.org. That's EPOCHE, epicmedical.org. And you can also email at admin@epicmedical.org. So I'm enjoying this conversation so much, Dr. Thompson, and it sounds to me that it's kind of like what my mom and my grandmother used to teach me, like back to basics, right? Like get your 8 hours of sleep, get your fresh foods, and what else what else do you think like people who are listening right now, like if they want to make a change in their life, because I know you've made a drastic change and healed yourself, what can you speak into and share with our viewers, our listeners, about what maybe basic steps that people can do to start taking,
Absolutely.
go ahead.
It's it's really going back to the basics, like you said, and the fundamentals. So as it relates to nutrition, whole foods. So
Mhm.
vegetables, fruits, grains, nuts, seeds. Um, it's going back to those things. The more whole foods it is, that's what our body is meant to utilize as fuel.
Mhm.
Processed foods, those are really like foreign objects. It's like putting water in your gas tank. The only
Right.
difference is your body has the ability to convert it and utilize it, but over time, it causes dysfunction in the body that manifests as symptoms and ultimately disease. So, nutrition is key in eating real food and not just consumable products. The other thing is maintaining your physical health, whether it's movement or exercise, being active, because we know that's important to maintain your bones, your muscles, your brain.
Right.
It helps with digestion, it helps with sleep, it helps with every facet of your body's ability to function more efficiently and effectively. Like you said, sleep is we need sleep so that our body can heal and repair itself. Between the hours of 9 p.m. and midnight is when we do our most repair and healing. So that's not the time for us to be eating or snacking or staying up late or to be stressed. Our body needs that time to repair. Imagine that, repairing your DNA every night,
Wow.
healing and repairing yourself, removing cancer cells every night when you get your sleep. And then there's like minimizing stress. And I know that's hard with our lifestyle. So we can't necessarily avoid stress, but we can develop strategies and techniques to better handle stress and to better cope with stress. And so one of the things I do is I teach people, I shouldn't say I teach, I help to coach people around those things that can help them become their own healers, having
Yes.
better quality sleep, having better quality relationships, empowering themselves with coping mechanisms and affirming themselves and what's important to them, and paying attention to the body so that if they're lactose intolerant, they'll stay away from dairy. But not
Mhm.
only will they stay away from dairy, they'll notice the impact it has on their gut, or if they have brain fog or joint pain after they consume a food that gives them these non-specific symptoms that comes and goes.
Mhm. Thank you for that share. It's so true. Back to the things that that we know are good for us. It's just a matter of, I think, implementing it, because life can be chaotic, and work and kids and just everyday life. But it sounds like prioritizing ourselves. And not only are you a doctor, but you also are a coach. So anyone who's going to see you is doubly lucky, because can coach them, and not
Yes.
a lot of doctors can say that, because a doctor normally they'll write a script and they'll say, "Here you go," But so so you're coaching patients.
Yes.
That's
During the first visit, one of the things
nice.
we talked about is what's the vision that a patient has for themselves? What are their goals? Because
Yeah.
I need to know what's important to them so that we can work towards that. And we discuss, how to be consistent and how to stay committed so that they can be successful, so they can achieve that freedom for their health and wellness, because it is theirs to attain, and they have the power to do it.
And they got some skin in the game, because now you're asking them what's their vision, right? You're asking them what do they want to create. So
Exactly. It's unfortunately not the work that I do, it's the work that they do that creates the outcome.
that's right. And you're guiding them. So thank God for doctors like you who have that vision and can see past just like the regular, scripts and regular stuff. You're able to have a vision for your patient. So, Dr. Thompson, what can you share with us a little bit about the insurances? And I think I saw something on your website about unique insurance. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Well, yes, to clarify, I do not accept insurance. I'm
Okay,
not in network insurance because the visits require time. Um,
correct.
it's important for each person to understand how their body functions so that when they do something that throws it off balance, they'll understand what creates dysfunction, symptoms, and ultimately disease. And unfortunately, insurances do not reimburse for that time that we're investing
Right.
um, to get educated. So I do not accept insurance. However, I do work with a medical credit card whereby
Oh,
patients are
right.
able to apply and to get instant credit. And with great credit, they can get anywhere between 15 to 18 months interest free. And this
Nice.
allows them to pay for their medical expenses, get
Nice.
better, feel better, have more energy, and then focus on the bills later. But what's great about it is that they're able to strategize and break up the payments over time so that they can pay it off before the interest starts to kick in. So that's another option. Um, Also, with Medicare patients in particular, regular Medicare, not managed Medicare,
Right.
some of the functional tests are 100% covered with Med. That's a bonus.
Oh, okay. Nice. So if they have
And whatever
Medicare.
And whatever can be done through the insurance in terms of laboratory
Right.
testing with LabCorp or Quest, we certainly do that first. Absolutely.
Of course. No, that's great. And that's great that you're offering options for them to
Hmm.
have, interest free,
Hmm.
because what they're getting from you is certainly a step above of what a regular MD is going to offer. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah.
in addition to that, we offer packages so that again we can break up the payments over time. But at least they can get started on feeling better.
Yeah. Nice. So, Dr. Thompson, can you share maybe a story, a success story of one of your patients, a feel good type of story, so you could give us some hope for some of us out there that are listening that feel a little helpless or hopeless.
Oh, there's definitely hope. Please do not give up hope. Do not give up hope in yourself. I've had wonderful success stories from patients with something as simple as severe anemia that was undiagnosed because
Wow.
they didn't have deeper dive testing, with women with heavy menstrual bleeding, and they were able to get iron infusions. And it's interesting that their symptoms were atypical in that it was anxiety, and their anxiety
Wow.
completely went away. I've had patients who had joint pain, and we discovered what their food sensitivities were, and so the joint pain completely went away. We've had hormonal issues with heavy bleeding in women, and after a couple of months of bioidentical therapy and some nutrient replacement, their cramps resolved, their breast tenderness resolved, and the heavy bleeding improved. I've had men who just had a lack of energy, decreased libido. We support them with bioidentical hormones. Patients with mold, we got them on a particular diet, low sugar diet,
Nice.
and got them on some medication to clear those mold toxins. That helped their mood, their energy, their anxiety, um, their sensitivities or allergies improved. Um, there's just so many different stories. People with Hashimoto's,
Right.
their antibodies came down. They were told that it can never be cured, but the
Wow.
antibody levels actually came down
Yeah, I
to
believe it.
normal or undetectable.
Nice.
So we've just had tremendous success, and one of the objective ways we measure that is what we call a medical symptom score. So I don't
Mhm.
necessarily rely on what the patients tell me, although of course how they feel
Sure.
helps. But if they had a symptom score of 4, which is very uncomfortable with insomnia, and then
Right.
3 months later it's a 0 because they're able to sleep through the night, we see the dramatic reduction in the severity of their symptoms.
That's a win, right? If they could sleep through the night, that's a win.
Yes, we've helped lower cholesterol, helped reverse high blood pressure, um, blood sugar control. It, it's been
Wow.
an amazing journey, and that's super rewarding for me.
Dr. Thompson, we actually have 1 minute left. So
Okay.
if you can, this interview has gone so quickly, so fast. I've truly enjoyed it. But if you can leave our listeners and viewers with one piece of advice in the last minute that we have, can you please share with us? What are your suggestions?
My suggestion is to not give up on yourself. There is options out there, and you are able to heal your body. If you feel discouraged, give someone like myself a call. We'll coach you through it, and we'll provide the roadmap for you. You're not alone. Your body can heal itself. It has an incredible innate ability to heal itself. And
Yes.
once you understand that, you'll be on your way to having improved vitality and longevity and a better quality of life.
And you're a testament to it. Look at you. You've been there down that road and you've done it. So thank you so much, Dr. Thompson. It was truly a pleasure interviewing you today. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
It
Thank
was
you.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Take care. Thanks.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Thank you for letting us share with you a longer and healthier lifestyle. If you have a doctor or are a doctor and wish to be on the show, call AMP2 TV at 866-244-5422, and we will put you on the air as soon as